You've got questions about fitness, nutrition, mindset, health as a whole, and I'm here to help answer them. From fat loss and strength training to post rehab and building a truly sustainable approach to wellness, my goal is to help you build a strong, healthy body and mind that actually lasts. I'm Ray Cook, and if you're ready for practical, no fluff guidance that you can use right away, you're in the right place. So let's dive in. The question today that we're going to be going into is, what's the best workout for fat loss without burning out? And then I like that it always elaborates. Like, thank God it does, because sometimes I'm like, what? This one, notice the shift. Fewer people asking for fast fat loss, more asking for sustainable fat loss. So that's exciting. HIIT versus strength versus walking is a huge debate. Many are tired of extremes after past failed resolutions. I actually have a genuine question for you guys. Now I'm like, what? HIIT versus strength training versus walking is a huge debate. Is that true? I live in a weird bubble with my stuff, where like I hear conflicting stuff all the time from people just because they want to get pissy and argue with each other. Our industry is full of dumbasses. I know all of ours are, but people choose petty things to argue about. Are people like normal people talking about high intensity interval training? That's HIIT. Strength training versus walking is a huge debate. Is that true? Yeah, HIIT is just high intensity interval training. Yep, you're right, Mom. High intensity. Nailed it. It's basically circuit training. It's just a fancy way to say circuit training, truthfully. I'm going to wait for you guys for just a second because I know there's 3 in here and I might get a response to tell me if I'm dead wrong or something. Okay, I figured high intensity, but that's not 4 letters. Yeah, you're good. You're good. Okay, I'm going to assume that it's not a big debate. Like, I don't know why it would be. So that piece just more or less confuses me. I don't think that there needs to be a debate around HIIT versus strength versus walking. All of them have their benefit. You can find ways to make them incredibly useful on any given day, depending on what your goal is. If it, like, for example, if your goal is to get stronger, obviously strength is a very important factor. But if your goal is only to get stronger, irregardless of cardiovascular health, let's say, meaning we don't really want to focus too much on your cardiovascular system being able to work at its best capacity, you wouldn't do just strength. Like, that's just weird. Like, no one's gonna just do strength and not focus on it. Well, I can't say no one. There are a lot of people that do that. But most normal-ish people, comprehensible people, aren't gonna go through and only do strength and never do any level of cardio. Which is to say, no one's walking? Totally random debate there. The high-intensity interval training piece, that one you can justify depending on what you're able to do, where you're going with your workouts. And then when I say where you're going with your workouts, I don't mean like the gym or a CrossFit place or your home. I don't mean like that. I mean like, what's the direction of your overall workout plan, your workout scheme? What's your overall goal lining up with those things? You can justify putting in high intensity interval training damn near anywhere, depending on what your goal is. I would say the cool piece that I will always kind of side with high intensity interval training, with a caveat, and I'll elaborate on the caveat, is high intensity interval training will absolutely save you time 100% of the time, because the whole concept is short and condensed, but to maximize that short and condensed. With that said, if you're doing solely strength training or one of your big goals is to get a lot stronger, high intensity interval training will not be that helpful in the grand scheme of things, but it can be helpful in a relatively, I say quote unquote, shorter time frame. So it has benefits to strength, absolutely. Strength will always be a predominating obvious factor for becoming stronger, but you can absolutely pair those things up. Like, there have been times where I myself, and I will come back to that caveat in just a second, where I have gone only strength focus and have done very minimal cardiovascular work. The outcome of that was, yes, I got stronger, but the weird piece was that it was so hard for me to do 2 things. First was just do general random things around the house, around life, that involved my heart rate building up, because I never trained my cardiovascular system to the degree it needed. Second piece, my recovery rate was trash, because the beauty of cardiovascular health to any capacity is it improves your recovery rate. If your heart rate is going to drop faster, if your breathing rate can sustain its oxygen in, CO2 out, then you're going to perform better on the whole. So those things are 100% necessary in all capacities. The caveat I was going to say with the HIIT piece, and I'm not looking at anything right now because I want to, like, comments wise, because I want to make sure I don't lose my train of thought. The caveat that I had between HIIT being thrown in is so many times. You guys may have seen this. I might be wrong. People tend to, coaches, like trainers, tend to overestimate what somebody can do, comprehend, and retain. Meaning, if I have somebody that's not in, like, let's not even say brand new. Let's say we have somebody that's been doing this for a while. They've practiced foundational movements, but they're having a tough time. I'm picking an exercise just out of random. They're having a hard time with deadlifts. Great. It's a highly technical movement. There's a lot going on. It's easy to break down and completely F up. So let's just take deadlifts as an example. This person knows what they're doing, but deadlifts is the sticking point. Sometimes within HIIT training, trainers will give an exercise, for this example specifically, mostly only this example, people will put in a deadlift onto a high-intensity interval training circuit. Because sure, it's got a lot of benefits to do deadlifts. Absolutely. The crossover is insane. The strength benefit can be insane. But what happens when someone's not comprehensive enough to do, or comprehending enough to do, the exercise at hand? And then you give them a time duration to do something in where they will be fatigued. Then they do that exercise, jack it up most of the time, messing up their back, their legs, everything in between. And then they leave the session either injured, discouraged, or waiting for something bad to happen because they don't feel like they got a lot out of that session in terms of what feels good. There has to be a meet or an in-between where we say, okay, this is good to this point. This is good to this point. Let's commingle these ideas. A lot of times that's the missing piece with a lot of the high intensity interval training, at least up to this point. Things could be changing that I'm not seeing a lot of, but up until probably the past year or two, in my recollection, people still tend to give stupid shit to people that is highly unnecessary in that moment. Specific stuff demands specific outcomes, depending on this, like, what you guys can comprehend. So there's that piece. That was not at all the question that was posed for today, but I'll jump into that in a second. Jen, yeah, truth, but there are the good ones. Thank you, Jen. I'm sending you love. Look at my emojis will pop up. Let's see. Come on. Yeah. I love when the emojis happen. I think that thing's dope as hell. Thank you, Jen. And thank you, Mom. Yeah, you are a bit biased. 100%. Okay, the question was on this one, though, because I got on the HIIT versus strength versus walking debate piece and I got hung up. What's the best workout for fat loss without burning out? Without burning out has me caught up. I don't know what that means. Like, what's the best workout for fat loss without burning out? Are they? I'm gonna go off the assumption, because none of us came up with this question. It was just a question that was posed. I'm gonna take the assumption that they're just meaning without getting to the point where I just don't want to do this anymore. That's what I'm thinking means burning out. So like similar to work burnout, where you're just like, F this, I'm done. I think that's the piece. I have a random hair. I don't even know. I can't find it anywhere. Anyhow, sorry. Very distracted. Random piece. I think that that's where they're going with the burning out aspect. First and foremost, there is no best workout for fat loss. I'm 99% sure that we've talked about that many times. So this question's redundant. At the same token, there are things that will benefit you for fat loss by doing workouts. You just getting stronger and having, again, improved cardiovascular health will dramatically impact fat loss success, let's just say. 100%. Yes, those things will be helpful, but that's not going to come from a singular workout. It comes from the compounding effect of you showing up, doing consistent workouts, and by consistent, I mean just over the long term. I'm not saying you got 3 workouts a week and you don't get 3 workouts a week, instead you hit like 1 or 2. That's not the consistency I'm talking about. I'm talking about consistency on the long term. If you got a whole year, mostly week over week over week over week over week, you are showing up to a degree, pushing yourself to a degree. That is the consistency. Some weeks are fantastic, some weeks are meh, and then really on the whole, it's just like, okay, I did what I could. That's the level of consistency we want to get to. Those are the things that support best things for fat loss. But it's not one singular workout. It's just the compounding effect. Now, I will say there has always been this kind of push and pull, I guess, of people saying you should go low weight, high rep. You should go high weight, low rep. And then it's like this weird beat each other up thing. which is really strange that we do this. But again, like I said, people in my industry are stupid. They want to pick fights with each other. So instead of saying we need this or we need this, it is okay to actually pair up both of those things. And it is highly necessary to pair up both of those things. And the cool piece is both support muscle strength building, both support fat loss, and both support just better overall health. So in that capacity, many of you guys will have seen in your workouts, some exercises you might have on like the 4 to 8 rep, the 6 to 10 rep range, the 8 to 12 rep range, the 15 to 20 rep range, and sometimes it's just a time frame. All of those things have fully different purposes. All of those things can absolutely, as you've seen, fit into a single workout, but they all have the overall benefit of doing a couple different things. If we're going heavy, strength. If we're going moderately heavy, usually more muscle building. Both of those things can still happen at the same time. If you're going higher rep range, then you're going more for endurance and tendon strengthening. Again, those things can all work at the same time. Like, meaning if you push yourself, excuse me, if you push yourself close to failure, meaning let's say like the rep range of 15 to 20, let's say you push to 18, and by 18 you're like, oh my God, I cannot do this. You are still gaining the effect to improve or increase your muscle mass, meaning the size as well as the strength, because it's hard for you, but you're also building the endurance and the tendon capacity. But then if you only ever do high rep close to failure, you're not going to understand, your central nervous system is not going to understand how to physiologically move a shit ton of weight. So then at the same token, you want to dabble in how much can I truly lift as a close to maximal weight. I say quote as close to maximal weight because you got to earn that ability to stack weight on. So it's not the goal of I need to go high rep or I need to go really low. Mishmash them. There's nothing wrong with mishmashing them. But yeah, in terms of the burning out piece, I don't know what they're talking about. I really don't. There is no best workout for fat loss, but without burning out, something that I would say on avoiding burnout with workouts is, and I see you guys' comments, I'm going to come to them in a second. Something I would say to avoid burnout is, at least what I've done for myself, and what I've heard from you guys a handful of times work well for you, is do a workout, like a specific set week or every other week workout, where the main things are the same, but there might be a couple differences layered in between them. And then reevaluate every 6 to 8 weeks around our challenge time, around our deload weeks, where at that point you're going to back off a little bit, do something that's a little bit more intensive, and then question things. Do I want to keep doing this workout? Do I like this format? Do I want to adjust things? Because at that point, you've taken a big benefit out of the past 6 to 8 weeks or so, sometimes give or take like 2 to 3 weeks on that list or that number. And then you can say, like, I've seen improvement and I either want to keep going or I've seen improvement and I think I want to shift gears a little bit. Those are both okay. You have to just do what works well for you. I personally am one of those people that I can do the same workout all the time for a pretty long time. And then I'm just like, yeah, I'm ready for something different. But it takes me a while, like not 6 to 8. It might be like double to triple that duration. But that's just because that's how I like to train. For me, that works. For me, I enjoy that. And even at the end of that point, it's not that I get burned out. It's just like, I want something new. I would love to still do these things, but I just want to do something a little bit different. So play with that piece as you will. Let's see. Jen, emojis are the best. Emojis are the only way. You guys know this. I don't text at all with emojis, do I? I also don't talk with sarcasm. That is 100% of the point. What's up, Dave? Good morning. You missed the biggest part of that conversation, you silly goose. That's okay. You got any questions for me today? Jen, it's a good question. The burning out is weird. It goes back to your motivation. Yeah, I think it does go back to the motivational. That's a very good point. Mom, I think burnout might be that a lot of people put too much pressure on themselves to do too much and make drastic changes and are unable to sustain. That's a very good point. That is probably close to exactly what they're going for, but I just didn't read between the lines on that piece. Yeah, I think that you're right. I think a lot of people, and I've done this in the past, like I would be lying on my butt if I said I didn't do that in the past, where you put a certain, let's just say a certain goal in mind, and you just keep hammering it in, but you forget that there's other ways to go about things, and you hate it after a bit. Like, I remember when I When I went through that process of losing that 60 pounds in 4 months, when I first started, and that was a stupid ass choice the way that I did it. But that's why I got into doing this stuff so I could learn more about it. Was I did the same thing for those 4 months of just run 3 miles every single day, do nothing else, eat very little. That was my practice. It was atrocious. But by the end of that time, I got so sick of it. I felt like shit. I weighed less, but I ate like terrible. I have no good relationship with food. By that point, I said, F it. And it went right back into what I used to do. And then I rebounded a bit. I think I put on like 15 to 20 pounds within like 2 months. So it's like, that's why I'm usually on the more confident side of saying like the dieting side of things doesn't necessarily work. The extreme side of things doesn't necessarily work, because it does work, but the sustainability of that practice is trash. I've lived it. Many of you guys have lived it, but it's just about going through a process that works for you. But more or less in that capacity, all I was meaning with that is when I got to that point where I was like, this is kind of what I wanted, I was burned out because of that choice of like, I need to get to this point. I got to do it the best I can. This is what I got to do. And then it sucked. And then I said, screw it, I'm out. Find what works well for you. The nice thing is the vast majority, if not every single one of you guys, actively does that stuff. The reason I pull in these questions from where we're getting them, from the ChatGPT questionnaire thing that I pulled up for us, is because in that way, we can see where potentially like old questions we all might have asked, or new coming up questions that other people in here will ask, or like maybe we're just pondering because we're curious on stuff. That will pull in different types of questions that we may not realize we want to ask. Then all of a sudden, here we go. And then we're off. And then we're 20 minutes into a conversation. And I've tangented at least 20 times. And we answer the question, I think. I don't know. Dave, no questions here. Just notice the time and you were still live. I am still live. If you haven't noticed, I tend to talk a lot. That might be a joke. Jen, fist bump. Jen, I remember my brother having to drop a lot of weight quickly when he wrestled. My lasting image of him doing this was when he was so weak he was on the floor. Yeah. And wrestling is notorious for that. There's been a lot of pushback on things within the wrestling world and wrestling community, but the diehard wrestlers still do all the same thing. This is wild. But wrestling world is a very different world. But yeah, I've seen the same thing. It's crazy. And Dave, thank you for that sarcastic, no, you don't talk a lot. Thanks. To be fair, your role model in that respect did exactly that, and said role model lived with that pressure. But thank you for breaking the chain and helping me so much. Hey, someone's got to help. Someone's got to break it. But at the same time, we do our best. You did your best. You did with what you knew how to do. And realistically, if we look back on the track record of health and wellness, it was a pretty much massive shitstorm for most of it. I can't even say like about a duration of time. Most of it, even up to this point. Even up to this point, I still see all the things that I just finished contending pop up on my FYP, my For You page, of all the different things. People are still justifying all the different messiness. And it's like, we have literal studies to show that those things were not helpful. But people don't like to read. So what can I say? Anyhow, my sarcastic rant is over. I think I should probably stop tangenting, because I'll probably keep tangenting if I don't. But you guys, thanks for joining me and hanging out for 20 minutes. That's ridiculous. That's a long time to put up with this face. So thanks for hanging out. Go get yourself some coffee. Go have something to look forward to the next couple days. And please stay warm out there. Mostly Jen right now, I'm looking at you. Stay warm out there. Don't go out in the ice storm. Dave, we're also looking at Em a little bit because she's over there in it. So you guys stay safe. Enjoy yourselves. Go have a fantastic weekend. Give someone a hug or a slap on the back or the butt if you know them well enough. And go have a great day. You guys are amazing. Let's get after it. You got a question for the next Q&A? Drop it in the comments. If you want deeper support, consider subscribing or joining our coaching community where we host multiple live calls every week. The link's in the description. And if this helped you in any way, please share it with someone who's also working on their health too. And remember to stay active, eat mindfully, think positive thoughts, and let's get after it.